When God introduced himself as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, Moses hid his face. He knew who the God of his forefathers were. I believe he might have known much more and from further back into the past. We have to wonder what accounts of pre-flood history existed in his day. In his writing, Moses clearly defines his subject matter. We are never left wondering if the text is defining historic record, his speech, or the speech of others. He writes about himself in the third person as him or he. He never refers to himself as I unless quoting himself in the first person. Here's an example. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law. Then Moses said, I will now turn aside and view this great sight. God called to him from the midst of the bush and said, We are never left wondering what is being described, who is at turn, and who is addressing whom. This style is well reflected no matter the protagonist of the chapter. Genesis chapter 5 begins thus, This is the genealogy of Adam.
This is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day that God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female, and blessed them, and called them mankind in the day they were created. And Adam lived 130 years, and begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and named him Seth. After he begot Seth, the days of Adam were 800 years, and he had sons and daughters. So all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. Seth lived 105 years, and begot Enoch. After he begot Enoch, Seth lived 807 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. Enoch lived 90 years and begot Canaan. After he begot Canaan, Enoch lived 815 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 905 years, and he died. Canaan lived 70 years and begot Mahalalel. After he begot Mahalalel, Canaan lived 840 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Canaan were 910 years, and he died. Mahalalel lived 65 years and begot Jared. After he begot Jared, Mahalalel lived 830 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. Jared lived 162 years and begot Enoch. After he begot Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. After he begot Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Methuselah lived 187 years and begot Lamech. After he begot Lamech, Methuselah lived 782 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. Lamech lived 182 years and had a son, and he called his name Noah, saying, This one will comfort us concerning our work and the toil of our hands, because of the ground which the Lord has cursed. After he begot Noah, Lamech lived 595 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Notice that there is no speech or dialogue, just objectively stated data. Where did Moses get this information? Was it dictated unto him on the mountain of God in the wilderness of Sinai? He did not say if this was the case, which would be uncharacteristic for his style of scribus. In Genesis chapter 5, Moses records the genealogies of Adam. The thinking, observant reader of the Genesis account must conclude that Moses had access to information that predated himself and the Great Flood. If an ancient text existed against which we could test these genealogies, it would be considered a treasure. I have plotted the relevant information that was provided by chapter 1 and 2 from our reading of Sefer haYashar so far. I will append the dates and times to this chart as we discover more data. For continuity's sake, I read the last verse of chapter 2, where we ended the previous video in this series.
And the wives of Lamech listened to him in this matter, And they returned to him with the advice of their father Adam, but they bore no children to him from that time, knowing that God's anger was increasing in those days against the sons of men, to destroy them with the waters of the flood for their evil doings. And Mahalalel the son of Canaan lived 65 years, and he begat Jared. And Jared lived 62 years, and he begat Enoch.
The Book of Enoch is a verifiably old religious text attributed to the pre-flood Enoch. I'm not going to address the alleged Book of Enoch in this series. We are only going to consider Enoch in the scope wherewith Sefer haYashar recounts the history of his legacy and compare it to the Old and New Testament. The fame of Enoch stems from his legend in the book of Genesis chapter 5 verse 18 to 24, the Gospel of Luke chapter 3, the Epistle to the Hebrews chapter 11, and the disputed Epistle of Jude verse 14 to 15. We are going to make no further assumptions outside of what is claimed by Moses and the New Testament. The alleged books of Enoch are not considered as subjects to our studies here. We start with Genesis 5 verse 24.
Jared lived 162 years and begot Enoch. After he begot Enoch, Jared lived 800 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. After he begot Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years and had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him.
When reading Genesis chapter 5, it is easy to fall under the impression that the father dies before the son's life story begins. I want you to picture in your mind's eye that all the ancestors in this chapter are still alive at the time of Enoch's birth, and all but Adam and probably Seth continue to live many years beyond Enoch's end. The creation story of Genesis chapter 1 is an introductory index to precede Genesis chapter 2 through 4. In similar manner, Moses is being predictable in his style of scribus, indexing for us in chapter 5 the topic of discussion to follow in chapters of 6 through 9. It is very unfortunate the lack of dating with regards to Cain's descendants. The frequency of births between generations would have been valuable information. It challenges historians when chronicles for parallel events have to be distinguished from each other for the sake of narrative. Hundreds of years transpire in 2 sentences, and sometimes one day is described in several.
And Enoch lived 65 years, and he begat Methuselah. And Enoch walked with God after having begot Methuselah, and he served the Lord, and despised the evil ways of men. And the soul of Enoch was wrapped up in the instruction of the Lord, in knowledge and in understanding, and he wisely retired from the sons of men, and secreted himself from them for many days. And it was at the expiration of many years, whilst he was serving the Lord, and praying before him in his house, that an angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, and he said, Here am I. And he said, Rise, go forth from thy house, and from the place where thou dost hide thyself, and appear to the sons of men, in order that thou mayest teach them the way in which they should go and the work which they must accomplish to enter in the ways of God. And Enoch rose up according to the word of the Lord, and went forth from his house, from his place, and from the chamber in which he was concealed. And he went to the sons of men and taught them the ways of the Lord. And at that time assembled the sons of men, and acquainted them with the instruction of the Lord. And he ordered it to be proclaimed in all places where the sons of men dwelt, saying, Where is the man who wishes to know the ways of the Lord and good works? Let him come to Enoch. And all the sons of men then assembled to him, for all who desired this thing went to Enoch. And Enoch reigned over the sons of men according to the word of the Lord. And they came and bowed to him, and they heard his word.
In haYashar chapter 2, we learn that Canaan was a ruler and a prophet. It seems plausible that one of his descendants could share in a form of priest, king capacity, picking up the torch of his wealthy retiring great-grandfather.
And the Spirit of God was upon Enoch, and he taught all his men the wisdom of God and his ways. And the sons of men served the Lord all the days of Enoch, and they came to hear his wisdom. And all the kings of the sons of men, both first and last, together with their princes and judges, came to Enoch when they heard of his wisdom, and they bowed down to him, And they also required of Enoch to reign over them, to which he consented. And they assembled in all 130 kings and princes, and they made Enoch king over them, and they were all under his power and command. And Enoch taught them wisdom, knowledge, and the ways of the Lord. And he made peace amongst them, and peace was throughout the earth during the life of Enoch. And Enoch reigned over the sons of men 243 years, and he did justice and righteousness with all his people, and he led them in the ways of the Lord. And these are the generations of Enoch, Methuselah, Elishah, and Elimelech, 3 sons, and their sisters were Melchah and Naamah. And Methuselah lived 87 years, and he begat Lamech. And it was in the 56th year of the life of Lamech when Adam died. 930 years old was he at his death. And his 2 sons, with Enoch and Methuselah his son, buried him with great pomp, as at the burial of kings, in the cave which God had told him.
Enoch, the 7th from Adam and 8th from God, ruler and king of men, hosts the grandest funeral in pre-flood history. It appears that Methuselah, Elisha, and Elimelech participate in sharing the responsibility and cost of facilitating this epic burial. In haYashar, we also see a pileup of ancestors, and then a deluge of burials and deaths which we would expect if the story is written as a chronicle, as opposed to a record written in hindsight, as we know Moses did with the Torah. haYashar chapter 12 to 17 opens up a can of worms that the observant reader immediately recognizes with regard to Adam and Enoch's supposed age at death. I will review this critically in a future video.
And in that place all the sons of men made a great mourning and weeping on account of Adam. It has therefore become a custom among the sons of men to this day. And Adam died because he ate of the tree of knowledge, he and his children after him, as the Lord God had spoken. And it was in the year of Adam's death, which was the 243rd year of the reign of Enoch. In that time Enoch resolved to separate himself from the sons of men, and to secret himself as at first in order to serve the Lord. And Enoch did so, but did not entirely secret himself from them, but kept away from the sons of men 3 days, and then went to them for 1 day. And during the 3 days that he was in his chamber, he prayed to, and praised the Lord his God, and the day on which he went and appeared to his subjects, he taught them the ways of the Lord, and all they asked him about the Lord he told them. And he did in this manner for many years, and he afterward concealed himself for 6 days, and appeared to his people 1 day in 7, and after that once in a month, and then once in a year, until all the kings, princes, and sons of men sought for him, and desired again to see the face of Enoch, and to hear his word, but they could not, as all the sons of men were greatly afraid of Enoch, and they feared to approach him on account of the godlike awe that was seated upon his countenance. Therefore no man could look at him, fearing he might be punished and die. And all the kings and princes resolved to assemble the sons of men, and to come to Enoch, thinking that they might all speak to him at the time when he should come forth amongst them, and they did so. And the day came when Enoch went forth, and they all assembled and came to him. And Enoch spoke to them the words of the Lord, and he taught them wisdom and knowledge. And they bowed down before him, and they said, May the king live! May the king live!
The countenance of Moses was also described as terrifying and godlike in Exodus 34 verse 29 to 33.
Now it was so, when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, and the 2 tablets of the testimony were in Moses' hand when he came down from the mountain, that Moses did not know that the skin of his face shone while he talked with him. So when Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. Then Moses called to them, and Aaron and all the rulers of the congregation returned to him, and Moses talked with them. Afterward all the children of Israel came near, and he gave them as commandments all that the Lord had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. And when Moses had finished speaking with them, he put a veil on his face.
I hypothesize that if there was a time for the priestly order of Melchizedek to be formally established, that this would be the catalyst. After natural death of the first man has demonstrated the reality of the serpent's curse, the consequent mourning and despair it invoked should not be underestimated. It would be the single most tragic event in the collective brotherhood of mankind. Think about it this way. The father of us all has died. The shared reality of their mortality in the death of the aged, decrepit Adam sealed the promise of death. Enoch was the first priest anointed into the order of Melchizedek, and God drew him up into his presence to sear the memory of his plan for salvation into the hearts and minds of men. The high priest of the order of Melchizedek perpetually persists and intercedes for men before God. I am speculating and applying a system of logic to formulate these ideas.
And in some time after, when the kings and princes and the sons of men were speaking to Enoch, and Enoch was teaching them the ways of God, behold, an angel of the Lord then called unto Enoch from heaven, and wished to bring him up to heaven to make him reign there over the sons of God, as he had reigned over the sons of men upon earth. When at that time Enoch heard this, he went and assembled all the inhabitants of the earth, and taught them wisdom and knowledge, and gave them divine instructions. And he said to them, I have been required to ascend into heaven, I therefore do not know the day of my going. And now therefore I will teach you wisdom and knowledge, and will give you instruction before I leave you, how to act upon earth whereby you may live. And he did so. And he taught them wisdom and knowledge, and gave them instruction, and he reproved them, and he placed before them statutes and judgments to do upon earth. And he made peace amongst them, and he taught them everlasting life, and dwelt with them some time, teaching them all these things.
This might have been the first prophetic seminar that promised everlasting life by revelation of a long-distant future Messiah. The history that inspired Moses to record the ancient promise of the serpent's defeat had to be true before his declaration of it. We acknowledge Moses as the source of this mystery, but the historical precedent predates him, as he himself testifies.
And at that time the sons of men were with Enoch, and Enoch was speaking to them, and they lifted up their eyes, and the likeness of a great horse descended from heaven, and the horse paced in the air. And they told Enoch what they had seen, and Enoch said to them, On my account does this horse descend upon earth. The time is come when I must go from you, and I shall no more be seen by you. And the horse descended at that time and stood before Enoch, and all the sons of men that were with Enoch saw him. And Enoch then again ordered a voice to be proclaimed, saying, Where is the man who delighteth to know the ways of the Lord his God? Let him come this day to Enoch before he is taken from us. And all the sons of men assembled, and came to Enoch that day, and all the kings of the earth with their princes and counselors remained with him that day. And Enoch then taught the sons of men wisdom and knowledge, and gave them divine instruction. And he bade them serve the Lord and walk in his ways all the days of their lives, and he continued to make peace amongst them. And it was after this that he rose up and rode upon the horse, and he went forth, and all the sons of men went after him, about 800,000 men, and they went with him 1 day's journey. And the second day he said to them, Return home to your tents, why will you go? Perhaps you may die. And some of them went from him, and those that remained went with him 6 days' journey. And Enoch said to them every day, Return to your tents, lest you may die. But they were not willing to return, and they went with him. And on the 6th day some of the men remained and clung to him, and they said to him, We will go with thee to the place where thou goest. As the Lord liveth, death only shall separate us. And they urged so much to go with him, that he ceased speaking to them. And they went after him, and would not return. And when the kings returned, they caused a census to be taken, in order to know the number of remaining men that went with Enoch. And it was upon the 7th day that Enoch ascended into heaven in a whirlwind, with horses and chariots of fire.
If these horses, chariots, and whirlwind was a fraudulent account, I would assume that it might have been copied from the story of Elijah. If the account is true, then it appears that humanity might still see chariots and horses of fire again, as it seems to be a signature way for God to transport people through and in the wake of turbulent winds. This event happens in a similar way compared to 2 Kings 2, verse 11 to 12.
Then it happened, as they continued on and talked, that suddenly a chariot of fire appeared with horses of fire and separated the two of them. And Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried out, my father, the chariot of Israel and its horsemen. So he saw him no more. And he took hold of his own clothes and tore them into 2 pieces.
And on the 8th day all the kings that had been with Enoch sent to bring back the number of men that were with Enoch, in that place from which he ascended into heaven. And all those kings went to the place, and they found the earth there filled with snow, and upon the snow were large stones of snow, and one said to the other, Come, let us break through the snow and see, perhaps the men that remained with Enoch are dead, and are now under the stones of snow. And they searched, but could not find him, for he had ascended into heaven.
By faith, Enoch was taken away so that he did not see death, and was not found because God had taken him. For before he was taken, he had this testimony that he pleased God. But without faith, it is impossible to please him, for he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him.
The writer of the Epistle to the Hebrews assumed that his readers were familiar with the legend of Enoch. Whether it is only a reference to Genesis 6 or something more, I am not sure. I find that chapter 3 of Sefer haYashar is interesting, but does not add anything of value to our religious understanding of biblical history, unless we want to affirm dogmatic biases. However, what I do find useful and compelling is the dating that is scattered across the text, which binds the narrative and threads the needle throughout all the previous chapters, and further throughout the following chapters. And that is a complexity that begs us to further scrutinize the legitimacy of this collection of epics. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more of this content.